Russell Westbrook finally opens up. When it comes to triple-doubles, Russell Westbrook is no doubt the current NBA king. In the last several seasons, Russell has established himself as the best, bending the triple-double to his will. In the same vein, he's also rewriting the NBA history books, putting him in the same conversation with Magic Johnson. Naturally, these records have caused a few journalists to scoff at the record he broke, with a particular journalist even downplaying his efforts. However, Russell has chosen to remain silent on the issue, choosing not to say anything about it. But in recent times, the star has broken his silence and given the journalist a piece of his mind. Are you wondering what happened? Stick with us till the end of this video to find out everything you need to know about the Russell Westbrook story. Welcome to Courtside, where we share with you all the buzzing stories and rumors. Be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any NBA news. Now let's get right to the action. Russell Westbrook's record. In the last few seasons, Russell has shown the entire NBA that he can do whatever he likes with the triple-double, and his inclusion in the record books shows that he isn't here to make jokes. Westbrook joined the Washington Wizards in 2020 and has just played 38 games with the team. Despite this, the player has taken the #1 spot, overtaking Darrell Walker, who was once the franchise lead. As of Monday night, Russell had logged triple-double number 16 with the Washington Wizards and had logged number 162 overall. Gets even crazier. Russell reached this with just 38 games, while Darrell Walker required 283 games to reach that mark. The coach of the team, Scott Brooks, said of Russell, "He does things that I've never seen. He's a winner, man. He fights. He's not perfect, and a lot of times the geniuses want to look at the things that he doesn't do well, but sometimes they forget about the other things that he does well." It's interesting to note that the coach had also worked with Russell in Oklahoma City, and this explains the relationship they share. In the game against the Pacers, Russell had recorded 35 points, 14 rebounds, and a career high of 21 assists in the victory of 132-124. To understand the extent of his performance, you should know that this is the third time in the history of the league that a single player has 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 20 assists. In addition, you should know that this is the first time we would be seeing a 35-plus point, 20-plus assists triple-double in the history of the NBA. This incredible feat was first achieved by Oscar Robertson in 1961 in a game against Chicago. Magic Johnson also did the same at Philadelphia in 1988, logging 32 points, 11 rebounds, and 20 assists. Besides Russell, the only Wizards player to even achieve 20 points and 20 assists triple-doubles used to be only Rod Strickland, who had a record of 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 20 assists in 1998. Today, Russell Westbrook sits with Magic Johnson and Oscar Robertson on the leaderboard. He's also in a tie with Oscar Robertson as the only player who has had at least 15 triple-doubles in the span of 5 seasons. In an interview, the humble player said of the feat he had just reached, "I don't deserve the credit. Honestly, I always give credit to the man above for blessing me with the ability to play. And along those lines, I have so many great coaches and teammates that make my job easy and help me out. Assists don't happen, I can't make the shot." Magic Johnson has congratulated the former MVP star for his performance, taking to Twitter to express his joy that someone finally broke his record. He said, "Congratulations to Russell Westbrook on becoming the third player in NBA history to record a triple-double, scoring over 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 20 assists in a game, joining Oscar Robertson and me." However, despite the stellar performance of Russell and Bradley Beal, it still appears like the Washington Wizards have been struggling. Currently, the team has a record of 17-29 and sit at spot 12 on the Eastern Conference table. There are 26 games remaining in the regular season, and if the team wants to make it to the playoffs, then they would have to push extra hard. In the same vein, James Harden also enjoyed a beautiful game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, a game which ended in a win for the Brooklyn Nets. The Beard recorded 38 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists in the 112-107 win. Steph Curry also returned with fire, scoring 32 points in just 30 minutes of play, showing the form he had exhibited before his tragic injury. Jonas Valanciunas also reached a personal high for the year, scoring 30 points for the Memphis Grizzlies in their 120-110 win over the Houston Rockets. The criticism against the player. Despite his many stats he puts up for his teams every season, Russell Westbrook has faced a considerable level of criticism in the NBA. Most of these criticisms have centered on the fact that the star still hasn't won an NBA title. The latest of these criticisms comes from Stephen A. Smith from ESPN, who took a shot at Russell after his record-breaking triple-double performance. Smith said that he didn't give a damn about the impressive performance of the player. He added, "And here's the thing about Westbrook's big night, I don't give a damn about any of it, because the Wizards aren't very good. They're not going anywhere. You are 17-28 in the Eastern Conference, for crying out loud. You are not going anywhere, and this isn't the first time Russell Westbrook has played on a team that has fallen short." Smith added that if Russell was a better three-point shooter, then he most probably would have won a championship by now. In the Tuesday game against the Charlotte Hornets, Russell finally took the time to respond to the words of Stephen A. Smith. He explained that he didn't think a championship or a lack of it affects him personally. He further mentioned that he was all about the legacy and not the titles. In a statement, he says, A championship don't change my life. I'm happy. I was a champion once I made it to the NBA. I grew up in the streets. I'm a champion. I don't have to be an NBA champion. I know many people that got NBA championships that's miserable, haven't done nothing for their community, haven't done nothing for the people in our world. And for me, man, my legacy, like I mentioned before, is not based on what I do on this court. I'm going to play basketball my whole life. My legacy is what I do off the floor, how many people I'm able to impact and inspire along my journey, man. That's how I keep my head down and keep pushing, because it's very important that you don't let the negativity seep in, because it's been like that my whole career, honestly. There's no other player that kind of takes the heat that I take constantly. Honestly, it's a valid concern that despite the stats and records the player has broken, he still is without an NBA title. But the thing is that the player doesn't see it that way, and he is quite satisfied with where his career is at the moment. As he also mentioned, he is quite concerned with his legacy as a person and not just as a basketball player. In addition, Russell has had his shot at winning an NBA title during his career when he played for the Oklahoma Thunder. He was playing side by side with Kevin Durant and James Harden. Unfortunately, he still missed winning the title. Also, he played with Paul George in Oklahoma City, but in 2 seasons, they were still unable to make it out of the first round. In his lone season with the Houston Rockets, he played alongside James Harden again, but he was still unable to win an NBA title. Russell's wife also has come forward to defend her husband, saying that she found it annoying that she and her husband were just minding their business when she saw notifications pop up on her timeline about people being negative and hating on the success of her husband. In a string of Instagram posts, she shares her thoughts about the entire story and specifically took shots at Smith. Nina would go on to add that she was angered at the non-congratulations of Smith and she wasn't in any way a fan of his. In conclusion, she mentioned that Russell was having his best life and that a lack of championship didn't hurt him as much as Smith thinks. She calls him a champion of life, a champion of the people. We honestly thought this would all end after the response of Russell and his wife, but it appears like Steven isn't letting it go. The ESPN journalist has stood by his words. First of all, he appreciated the fact that Nina came to the defense of her husband, but he stood by the fact that Westbrook has not won an NBA title and even mentioned that the player has played on better performing teams with good numbers, yet he has failed to win a championship. Russell Westbrook replied again. He said, "One thing I won't allow to happen anymore is let people create narratives and constantly just talking bleep for no reason about me, because I lay it on the line every night and I use my platform to be able to help people across the world." One thing we must understand is that all of these words are typical of Smith. His ability to attract attention with his opinion and his authoritative personality are some of the factors that made him the highest paid ESPN journalist in 2019. And as for Russell, he has a valid reason for reacting the way he did. Players like him have worked extra hard to be who they are today, and it would be quite ridiculous for a journalist to suddenly downplay these achievements because they don't subscribe to his definition of greatness. Who do you think is right in this one? Was Smith right for downplaying the achievements and record-breaking performance of Russell Westbrook, or did Russell play the bigger man by explaining his definition of being a champion to the reporter? Tell us what you think in the comments section. Don't forget to share with friends, and thank you for watching. We are Courtside.